So being a firefighter, people usually ask me what kind of calls you go on, anything crazy? Well, this story right here is by far probably the craziest story I've ever been on. My name is Zach. I'm a volunteer firefighter slash EMT, have been for about 2.5 years now. So a lot of people don't realize that volunteer firefighters were public servants. So we help people with their day-to-day lives. So we go on calls for elderly people or disabled people, just help them with whatever they need. So here at the station we have what's called as a frequent flyer. So frequent flyers are people that call several times in a week. So Jerry, definitely a frequent flyer. So the thing about Jerry is he's over 500 pounds. So nicest guy in the world, but he's huge, he's monstrous. So being over 500 pounds, Jerry needs help with day-to-day things that you wouldn't think to call the fire department for, like making food, bathing, stuff like that. Well, this call wasn't a usual Jerry call. This one was different. It was way different. He calls complaining of abdominal pain with hemorrhage, which is bleeding. And so it was odd for Jerry, so we hit the road and headed his way. As soon as you walk in Jerry's house, the stench, it just smacks you right in the face. I mean, his house is stinky, but this was different. It was way stinkier than usual. If you ever seen the show The Walking Dead, imagine that smell. It smelled like something was rotting. So my partner and I shook it off. We turned our attention to Jerry, who was just kind of sitting in his recliner, just staring at the ceiling, just kind of with his mouth open. So my partner and I approached Jerry and we asked him, "Hey Jerry, what seems to be the problem?"
I'm, bleeding.
"Yeah, we heard something about that. Let's go ahead and get you checked out." As I approach him, I see that there's a little bit of blood coming from underneath his shirt. So I tell him, "Okay, Jerry, we're gonna have to take your shirt off so we can see what's going on."
Be careful. This is my good shirt.
So my partner and I, we already got our gloves, glasses, everything we need on, and we go ahead and take Jerry's shirt off. Well, we cut his shirt off, and as I mentioned before, Jerry is 500 or so pounds, so he's got a little extra baggage, or flaps, or I guess fat rolls. So my partner and I, we noticed a little bit of blood coming from one of his rolls. And so we calmly told Jerry, "Yeah, we see the bleeding. We're going to take a closer look, Jerry. Just let me know if anything hurts." He nods and says,
Okay.
As we lift up one of his fat rolls, we notice a little bit of gauze, bandages, and probably placed there by one of his caretakers. We're careful when removing some of the bandages because we don't want to further agitate his wounds. How long has your side been hurting you, Jerry?
About a week it's been sore now, but it got worse and started bleeding again.
So as we're getting through the bandages, removing some here and there, just a horrid smell, worse than when we walked in, is starting to seep out. And as we're doing it, obviously Jerry is in pain and he's making this noise. He sounded like he was speaking whale or something. I try to calm him down and say, "Jerry, we got to see what's going on here. You got some bleeding underneath the bandages." So we finally get him to quiet down and we get through the rest of the bandages. So I'll never, like literally never forget the first thing that I saw once we got through here. It was like a little skull or like a piece of an animal or something. So as we're digging deeper, we see pieces of hair, red, green, yellow ooze, goos. It smells horrid. I mean, it was bad, if you could just imagine that. I finally realized what the hell I'm looking at. And I look at Jerry and ask him, "Hey, Jerry,
Yeah.
do you have a cat?"
Yeah, my cat Tom. I haven't seen him for a few days now. I think he ran away. Ugh.
So I hate to be the one to tell you this, Jerry. Your cat's dead. He's passed away.
What? What do you mean? How do you know?
I don't really know how to put this gently, so I told him, "He's right here. He's inside of you." He's mortified at what he hears. He's speechless. So at this point, I'm assuming what had happened was Jerry had rolled over in his sleep, laid on the cat. Cat got stuck in a roll, tried to get out, started clawing. Instead of clawing the right way, it clawed in Jerry, which then caused the bleeding and the cat to die. So ambulance finally shows up. We package him up, shove him in the ambulance, and ship him off to the hospital. So some time passes. We haven't heard from Jerry in a while, which is weird. So I'm friends with other EMTs, nurses that had helped Jerry that day, and reach out to them to see if they've heard anything. So unfortunately, it turns out that Jerry passed away. So Jerry, being a big guy, he's got a lot of health issues. But it turns out the cat rotting inside of his stomach caused a nasty infection, which ended up taking his life. So of course we're sad to hear this, but doing this for a living, you learn to kind of cope with stuff like this with humor. So I know it's pretty morbid, but I guess some of the guys were joking around and saying, well, I guess Tom finally got Jerry.